Hi, my name is Carol Wolf. I live up in O'Neill's. I started making up stories when I was, well, before I knew how to write. One of my earliest memories is making up stories and then acting them out. And then as I got older, I'd make up stories and I'd drag my friends into acting them out with me. And when I learned to write, I started writing them down and then also writing plays. So I wrote both stories and plays all through when I was growing up. And I met an artist who was a potter who said, you tend to do, as an artist, whatever it is you get rewarded for first. So I had a play published when I was like 17, and then when I was 19, it was produced in Iowa, and I was on my junior year abroad in England, and they flew me to Iowa and made a big deal about my play going up. So it's like, I'm gonna be a playwright. So I was. I went into graduate school and studied playwriting for 3 years, and came out and then was just totally committed to being a playwright and wrote many, many plays. I think I wrote like 37 of them. I've had about 30 productions on both coasts and on 5 countries. And during that time, I was also writing books. They just weren't nearly as good as my plays, but you know, they stacked up on the shelves as my playwriting career went on. I taught playwriting for 10 years at Foothill College, and the result of it was this. This is my 10 years of the mechanisms of storytelling and how that works. And by that time, I had about 12 novels piled up on my shelf. And one of the students in my playwriting class would come into my class and go, I have the most awesome agent in the world. And he was young adult writer Douglas Reese. And he was taking my playwriting course because his book writing was kind of going like this, and he wanted to beef it up. And he credits my class with beefing up because the next book he wrote was Uncle Pirate, and his sales went boom, and the book was picked up by a theater company in New York that turned it into a stage play, which a musical that ran off Broadway and then got extended and then ran again the next year and is now being published all over the world. And he says that my class did that for him. So I said to him, would your agent read one of my books? And he said, well, she's not taking clients. And even if she were, you'd have to knock her socks off. So I gave him this one, and he said, oh, and gave it to his agent, and bugged her for 3 months to read it, and then she read it, and wrote me on Sunday, signed me on Wednesday, met me on Wednesday, signed me on Friday, and 11 weeks later made a 2-book contract with Nightshade. So now I'm an author. I'm a novelist. The thing is, I've had 30 play productions all over the world, for which I have a stack of reviews and some posters. And this is my first novel, and look, it's a thing. It's all over the place. It's like permanent. Whereas the plays are like, they're like gone. All of those years, and it's not that I traded. I learned so much from writing plays. So now that I became a published author so fast, and I'll tell you one thing, all the time you're looking forward to it, and they're stacking up, and the rejections come, and they say no, and they say no, and they say no. You go, oh God, this is impossible. And once it happens, it feels inevitable. It feels like it was always supposed to be this way. So that's the way it worked for me. I'll bet it works that way from you. It's like, it doesn't matter that it took 30 years. That's how it was supposed to be. So, so once that happened, then I was asked to write a story, which got published in there. And so one of the things I was asked, once I became an author and my agent sat me down and said, now, you must blog. You must blog, you must tweet, you must Facebook, because it's part of the job of marketing that you have to do all those things. So I started getting interviews and stuff, and somebody asked me, why write? Why tell stories? And when I went off to graduate school, I'd seen this incredible production of Hamlet, and I thought, if anybody can tell me how to be a better playwright, it would be that actor who had played Hamlet and just blew me away. So he was a teacher at Santa Cruz University. And I wrote to him and said, could I make an appointment to come? So I came to his office and sat down with my little notebook, and I was going to say, so, as an actor, what makes a great play? And he sat there and he told me, theater is dead. Theater is dead. It will never rise again. Theater what could have been, blah, blah, blah. And he sat there for half an hour and told me that theater was dead. Okay, so 100 years ago, radio starts, right? And the belief is that radio is going to kill theater. Right? There's going to be radio, there's radio drama, and theater's going to go away. But look around you. There is more theater now on this planet than ever before. Up in Norfolk, there's a theater. Up in Oakhurst, every little tiny town's got a theater. Oakhurst had 2 for a while. More live theater every year than ever before. And yet radio continues, right? And then comes film, and film was going to wipe out radio and the theater, right? So now we have all this film, and radio and theater continues. And then we got video games, and video games are selling more than all the films combined, right? And that's supposed to wipe out film. And yet, now we have theater, radio, and now there's webisodes, and it seems to me that we are compelled to tell one another stories. It is a compulsion, and every new medium we find to tell one another stories, we do it, because on some level, we must tell one another stories. So maybe by writing, by telling each other stories, in that way we can connect one another and all become one people in a way that we can't as we face each other separately in one body and the other body. Because you have to know, when you read my book, you're reading something that was in my mind 2 years ago. That's magic, right? That's like my sending my thoughts across time and space into your mind. That's magic. So maybe that's what we're doing, telling one another stories. And so let's do more of it. Thank you very much.